Can you imagine your neighbor, the one you trusted with your spare keys, wave to every morning, calling the cops on your wife over a $500 mailbox fine? Because that's exactly how my nightmare began. And trust me, I never thought a ridiculous piece of HOA drama would end with FBI agents and a federal fugitive hiding in plain sight right next door. You think you know your neighbors, right? Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm Sean Matthews, 40-ish, history teacher at Lincoln High. And if teaching teens has taught me anything, it's that the biggest smiles often hide the wildest schemes. But even I wasn't ready for what we uncovered on our so-called perfect little street. My wife Jane and I, we moved into Meadowbrook Heights thinking we'd scored the suburban dream. Tree-lined streets, identical mailboxes, neighbors who remember your dog's name, and this HOA president, Haley Sanders, who was so involved and helpful, she made Martha Stewart look lazy. She organized charity drives, fixed old folks' fences, ran the neighborhood like her own personal kingdom. Everybody loved her. Me? I got a weird vibe, but I chalked it up to my overactive teacher radar. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just sense when something's off. Anyway, it started with a letter in our mailbox one crisp October morning. Official letterhead, photos, citations. Your mailbox is 2 inches too tall. It said, fine, $500. Jane shrugged it off, said pick your battles, but I couldn't let it go. I measured every mailbox on our block. 7 were taller than ours, 3 a hair shorter, yet only we got fined. That's when I realized, either Haley was incompetent or she was gunning for us. And this woman didn't do anything by accident. Thursday, Marcus the handyman drops by to fix our gate. Says, Haley's got me noting any property improvements for compliance. Just helping out, you know. Helping? Nah, this was surveillance with a smile. That's when my stomach really started to turn. So Friday, I come home, drop my keys by the window planter, reach behind it, and bam, my fingers hit something cold. I pull out a tiny camera, pro-level hardware, not some cheap Amazon gadget. Serial number traces back to law enforcement supply. Not even subtle. I sit there, hands shaking, waiting for Jane. She gets home, sees the camera, and her cop instincts kick in. This is police-grade surveillance. Someone with serious resources put this here. And then she says, who else in this neighborhood knows I'm a police commander? That was the first moment I got scared for real. Not angry, not annoyed, scared. Because I realized this wasn't about a mailbox at all. Next day, we get a text, emergency HOA meeting, community safety concerns. I tell Jane, this feels like a setup. We walk into the meeting and it's packed. More people than I've ever seen at these things. Haley is all sweet concern, but her eyes are ice cold. One by one, neighbors stand up, repeating the same script. Surveillance equipment is a threat. Some people aren't following standards. They're looking at us. It's like a witch trial. Every hand raised right on Haley's cue. I've seen enough mutinies in my classroom to spot a coordinated rebellion. So I stand up, pull out the camera. Let's talk about illegal surveillance. This was behind our window, law enforcement only. A hush falls. Some people look shocked. Others keep glancing at Haley. Her smile slips for a second, just long enough for me to see the real her. She tries to spin it, says she was just protecting the community. Maybe someone else planted it. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. But it's too late. Doubt starts to ripple through the crowd. The meeting ends fast. In the parking lot, Marcus admits Haley told him exactly what to say at the meeting. I overhear Haley on the phone, voice sharp. We need to accelerate the timeline. They're becoming a problem. How long before she figures out who I really am? The next day, Haley shows up demanding the fine. Today, no exceptions. Jane's done her homework, points out the rules enforced selectively. Haley's mask drops, just for a blink, but I see a look that says we're done playing nice. She whips out her phone and calls 911, right there on our porch, claiming we're threatening her. I'm stunned, but Jane just stands there calm as ice. 8 minutes later, Officer Miller arrives, listens to Haley's performance, then turns to Jane and goes pale. Commander Stone? Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Suddenly Haley's in full panic, her authority crumbling. Officer Johnson shows up next, sees Jane, calls her commander, and the whole act falls apart. Both officers explain this as a civil issue, not criminal. Jane's phone blows up with department calls. Haley's watching her perfect plan explode in real time. But she's not done. She pivots, starts whispering to neighbors, planting seeds of doubt. Isn't it dangerous, having police using their authority like this? Overnight, the social freeze hits us. Neighbors cross the street to avoid us. Parties go on without us. Jane gets called in by her captain. Formal complaints have been filed. She's under a microscope. All because one woman knew how to pull the right strings. But here's where the story twists. Marcus shows up with a notebook full of notes. Haley's been asking me about Jane's work hours, who visits, what time she leaves, all kinds of stuff. It felt weird, but I thought it was just neighborly concern. Then Detective Walsh from Financial Crimes, who just transferred into the area, starts asking neighbors about Jane, about police-community relations, using language almost verbatim from Haley's little scripts. Too many coincidences. That's when Jane gets serious. I'm setting a trap. She wires me up, sends me to have coffee with Walsh. I play the worried husband. He plays the helpful detective, until he starts mentioning camera models, schedule details nobody but Jane or a stalker could know. When I get home, we play the tape for Jane's captain, and just like that, Internal Affairs opens a case. Turns out, Walsh is in deep with gambling debts. Haley, or rather Lisa, promised to pay them off if he helped her gather info on Jane. Here's the bombshell. Haley Sanders is actually Lisa Cooper, a Chicago PD detective who vanished after stealing nearly $350,000 from an evidence room years ago. Faked her own death, built new identities, hopped from city to city running HOA scams, and laundering over $2 million out of 4 different communities. She'd been using the helpful neighbor routine to manipulate, surveil, and steal, her partner Walsh helping from inside the system. We call an emergency meeting, expose everything. As Jane reveals the evidence, Lisa slips out, vanishes, house cleaned out in hours. The FBI rolls in, turns our community center into a command post. Turns out Lisa's been running files on hundreds of families, prepping her next targets. While agents are sorting evidence, Lisa kidnaps Linda, drags her to an abandoned building, tries one last manipulation. Hostage negotiations, stalling tactics, threatening to flip the whole story and blame Jane for everything. But our community comes together. Marcus tips the SWAT team to the building's layout. Walsh, now in custody, spills her escape plans. Linda's rescued. Lisa's cornered and surrenders. In federal custody, she tries to bargain, claiming to have dirt on bigger fish, but it's too late. FBI finds encrypted files, hinting at a larger network. Lisa goes on trial. 22 years, no parole, ordered to pay back every cent. After everything, our community changed. We elected Linda as HOA president. Full transparency, every action voted on. Marcus leads a real neighborhood watch, not a spy ring. Jane's promoted for her role in exposing the scheme. Our old mailbox. We keep it as a monument, plaque and all, to never letting fear or fake smiles blind us again. So let me ask you, what would you do if the person you trusted most turned out to be the biggest threat your family ever faced? Drop your thoughts below. What's worse, the criminal who hides in plain sight, or the neighbors who follow them out of fear? If you've ever had your trust shattered, or seen a community rise up against a real enemy, share your story. That's how we make sure the next Lisa doesn't stand a chance. Stay safe out there. And remember, sometimes the scariest thing about suburbia is how easily we let the wrong people in.